Hey, I have exams. Oh my god, I need to study. I haven't studied at all. What's up, is a culture detective here investigating your favorite albums. And today I'm going to be doing an album review on the new Rosalía album, Motomami. I'm gonna try my best to review this as quick as possible because I'm literally running out of time. I have college classes, I have exams, I need to study, and I still have a bunch of stuff I need to handle. I don't have all the time in the world. Anyways, Rosalia is a singer-songwriter from Barcelona, and she has been making music for quite some time now. Before Motomami, she has released Los Angeles as well as El Mal Querer, both of which sees Rosalia blending elements of art pop and contemporary flamenco together to make some of the most refreshing and accessible flamenco pop music coming from Europe. And it isn't until a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when she sort of blew up in the mainstream, more and more people decided to collaborate with her. The Weeknd, James Blake, more and more people collaborate with her and know about her. So really, Rosalia is slowly but surely going to a more mainstream direction, especially with this album, where she basically strays even further from her usual contemporary flamenco art pop direction, which is interesting. I really like it when artists take a new direction and do something different and do something more experimental. But with this one, she tries a new genre where it's basically a dry, crunchy beat, a percussion, and it's usually very Latin flavored. Usually it is a reggaeton beat, and she basically raps on top of it with a very slow, sassy delivery. And apparently, this genre has a name, and it is called neopereo. And that being said, though, it's not like every single track here is neopereo, so the track list of this album actually alternates between the sassy, dry neopereo with art pop ballads. Now, there are a lot of production credits on this album, all the way from Pharrell Williams to James Blake to Q-Tip of A Tribe Called Quest, and Burial. I don't know why, but when I looked at Radio Music, I saw Burial in the credits as well, which is very interesting. I'm not gonna go through this album track by track in order. I'm gonna talk about the Neo Pereo tracks and then the ballads and then everything else. So of course we have the album opener Saoko, which is actually on the surface it seems like a Japanese word, but actually apparently it is a Puerto Rican slang. Also, I don't know a lot of the lyrics here because it's in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. I'm taking a Spanish course in college, but my Spanish is nowhere near good enough to be able to read Rosalia lyrics. But anyways, the album opener Saoko actually opens off really strongly with the pitched vocals, the weird fuzzy jazzy intro, a big beefy bassy beat, and a sassy vocal delivery that sort of glitches a little bit. It's really mean, it's really badass, it's really sassy, and it is a damn good album opener. And that being said, though, even though it starts off really strong, but when I began to realize that there are multiple tracks on this album that sound really similar to the album opener, I begin to feel a little underwhelmed. We have the track Chicken Teriyaki with a simple boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom reggaeton beat with some really dragged out rapping and nothing else, just a beat and the vocals, nothing else, and it just feels really dry and drab. And we have the track Biscochito, which has this really nimble beat, also reggaeton, with a bit of vocal manipulation, and overall it's still really dry. And we have the title track, where Rosalia almost tramples into gangsta rap territory, and it actually sounds kind of fun, even though I don't think it's great or anything. It actually sounds kind of fun, except for the fact that the track is only 1 minute and 1 second long. It's just too brief for its own good. And we also have the track La Combi Versace, which has these deep, moody bass, a guest feature, and instrumentally it is a little bit more subtle. But that being said, though, I just don't find anything all that exciting or interesting about this track. This track to me still feels kind of drab, given how stripped down it is, and given that it is pretty much following the same formula that a lot of the previous Neopereo tracks are following. Next up, we have the array of ballads on this album. We have the track Candy, which is actually the reason why Burial is being credited, because apparently the chorus of Candy is similar to Archangel by Burial. And I think it's an okay ballad. Of course, Rosalía is not bad at writing ballads. There are ballads on Los Angeles and El Mal Querer, and they're amazing, but on this album, in contrast with the dry rapping on the other tracks, it just comes off even more toothless, I guess. And then we have the track Hentai, which is the first track that caught my eye when I looked at the track list. We have a track called Hentai, really? And turns out it is a quiet little piano ballad, which is actually hilarious. Now, I'm not able to read every single lyric of every single song, but I was able to watch a genius video where Rosalía basically explains this song a little bit more, and he basically talks about how hentai is more provocative and how they are more stimulating than regular porn, and that's that. And she also makes references to like Spike Jonze. She rhymes bike with Spike, and she gives a shout out to Spike Jonze, who directed Being John Malkovich adaptation and Her, which I think is really weird, and I don't know how does that tie into hentai really. And then we have Genus, or G3N15, and production wise, it is actually really nice. We get these clean futuristic layers of glitching vocals, but that's pretty much the only standout thing about this track. Everything else is pretty much your average Rosalía by the numbers in her own wheelhouse with the soft vocals and nothing else. It's very spacey. We have Delirio de Grandeza, which I think means delusions of grandeur. And this track samples some old school Latin jazz with horns and hand drums, which is actually very interesting. But the whole track pretty much stays that same way for its entire duration. The old school jazz horns and it's just kind of in the back, and then it just ends. It just feels really brief and really short. Como un G is a structurally really messy track, and the album ender, Sakura, is another ballad where it's basically nothing but more pianos and more vocals, and I really love that. Rosalía has more of a flamenco flair on this track. But still, as far as ballads go, this is nowhere near as good as her past work. Finally, we have the other tracks. We have La Fama featuring The Weeknd. And this is easily the most poppy track on the entire album, with a ticking beat and a pitched bass. Also, The Weeknd singing in Spanish, which I think is awesome, because a lot of people are like, oh my god, a Spanish artist singing with an artist that speaks in English. Like, of course you sing in English, because English is the better language, yeah! Well, guess what, bitch? You should also try the other way around. And that's what happens here. It just goes to show that music transcends the language barrier. If The Weeknd wants to sing in Spanish on Rosalía's album, a Spanish artist's album, then he sings in Spanish. And it just really works out. And The Weeknd doesn't sound bad on this track at all. He's actually pretty good. That being said, though, musically, it's just kind of average. Just kind of average. And then we have Bolerias, which basically blends the dry drums on the Neopereo tracks with the flamenco a cappella style, which is just okay. Again, nothing all that fancy, just kind of there. And my two favorite tracks on the album, actually, is Diablo and Cute. So the first track, Diablo, has these light, soft touches of synths, a really nice beat, some really solid singing, and a bass, and a big bass, noisy, beefy instrumental, and it's definitely one of the highlights on the album. And then we have the track Cute, which is very wacky. It sounds like something straight out of Arca's Kick 2, with the wild, sprawling, crazy percussion, the random piano ballad in the middle, and sure, it sounds really weird. It sounds like two separate songs being slapped together. but I still really like how experimental and fun and weird it is. So yeah, overall, I think this might be Rosalia's weakest album yet. She has a lot of great ideas on this album, but none of them are fully realized because most of the tracks here are just too brief, and a lot of the tracks here just follow a pretty regular formula without actually trying to do something new and different. My favorite track here is Diablo, and my least favorite is I have no idea. Chicken teriyaki. I'm giving Rosalia's Motomami a strong 5 out of 10. Sorry. So, have you listened to the latest Rosalia album? From what it did, rate, like, subscribe if you want more. Thanks for watching. I gotta go. Bye bye.